Hello everyone, welcome to Inconvenient Truths. I'm your host, Jennifer Zeng. Today we are going to talk about three topics. First, four unusual phenomena at the 74th anniversary day reception of the founding of the CCP's regime held yesterday. Second, the news about Deng Pufang, the last aristocrat among the second generation of the Red families in China, being purged. Third, a brief comment on the arrest of Hui Ka Yan, the chairman of Evergrande, once China's largest real estate developer. This year marks the 74th anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China. Yesterday, on September 28th, the CCP held a reception in Beijing. Some people commented that the atmosphere at this reception was very weird. The whole scene felt like a gathering of zombies. The people sitting below seemed lifeless, not moving at all. It didn't look like a banquet or a reception at all, but more like a collective silent mourning. Observers of China affairs noticed at least four unusual things about this reception. Firstly, government receptions are usually addressed by the premier. In the 11 years since Xi Jinping took power, he personally gave speeches only on the 65th and the 70th anniversaries of the founding of the CCP. On other occasions, the speeches were delivered by the premier. In China, anniversaries ending in 5 or 0 are usually considered major festivals, so it is considered normal for Xi Jinping to speak in place of the premier during these occasions. This year marks the 74th anniversary, and one would expect Xi Jinping to give the chance to Premier Li Qiang, personally promoted by Xi Jinping and considered one of his own. However, to many people's surprise, Xi Jinping himself delivered the speech. Although Xinhua News Agency reported that Li Qiang chaired the reception, there was no footage of him hosting the event on China Central TV or CCTV. Only on the Chinese government official website there is a photo showing Li Qiang standing alone behind a lonely microphone hosting the reception. In contrast, Xi Jinping monopolized the podium adorned with flowers, and CCTV's broadcast deliberately emphasized Xi Jinping's supreme position. The second unusual thing is in previous National Day receptions, only 6 members of the Politburo Standing Committee or retired members sat together with Xi Jinping at the same table. The others were seated in advance, and the audience had to stand and applaud when Xi Jinping finally entered the hall with the Standing Committee. This year, however, the line was extremely long, and in addition to the Politburo Standing Committee, a large number of people who are not members of the Standing Committee followed Xi Jinping to the reception. In the end, all these people sat at the same table as Xi Jinping. There were altogether 19 of them, including Xi Jinping. This arrangement clearly weakens the status of the Politburo Standing Committee. Xi Jinping wants to deliberately demonstrate to the outside world that apart from himself, other Standing Committee members, Politburo members, and state councillors, etc., don't have much difference, and everyone has to listen to Xi Jinping. The third unusual feature is that no retired Politburo Standing Committee members attended the reception this year. Recently, Nikkei Asia published 3 reports in a row that Xi Jinping was reprimanded and pressured by elders of the CCP at this year's Beidaihe meeting. Those criticizing and pressure him included former Vice Chairman of China Zeng 94-year-old former Vice Chairman of the CCP Central Military Commission Chi Haotian, and former Politburo Standing Member Zhang Dejiang. However, many experts familiar with Chinese affairs expressed doubts about the credibility of these reports. First, retired high-ranking CCP officials have dedicated security forces assigned to them. These specialized security forces also serve as a means of surveillance. Even their home phones are monitored. These officials are well aware of this fact, making it difficult for them to gather and plot anything secretly. Furthermore, if they truly had the ability to unite against Xi Jinping, why didn't they prevent his re-election before the 20th CCP Congress? Instead, Xi Jinping's predecessor Hu Jintao was forcibly escorted out of the meeting, shocking the world and terrifying other CCP elders. There's also recent news that Deng Xiaoping's eldest son, Deng Pufang, often regarded as a spiritual leader among the second-generation Red, has been ousted from this China Disabled Persons Federation that he had controlled for nearly 40 years. These are pictures of Deng Pufang as a child with Deng Xiaoping. During the Cultural Revolution, Deng Xiaoping was overthrown, and Deng Pufang faced persecution too. In 1968, he was detained by the Red Guards for about 4 or 5 months, during which he was frequently abused. He managed to escape by jumping from a building during a restroom break, and therefore left him disabled, confining him to a wheelchair. When Deng Xiaoping returned to power, Deng Pufang, as his eldest son, became a powerful figure in China. He served in leadership roles for disabled persons for 39 years, also becoming a vice chairman of the National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. The position of honored chairman of China Disabled Persons Federation is usually symbolic and can be held for life. However, during the National Congress of the Federation held 9 days ago on September 20th this year, he was removed from his honorary chairman title. And Xi Jinping's own people, Yang Xiaodu, took over the role. This move by Xi Jinping breaks convention again. Prior to this, leaders of the China Disabled Persons Federation were always individuals with disabilities, while Yang Xiaodu is not a disabled person. He had previously served as the Deputy Secretary of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and the Director of the National Supervisory Commission and Xi Jinping's own man. The ousting of Deng Pufang, Deng Xiaoping's eldest son and spiritual leader among the second-generation Red, indicates that Xi Jinping no longer has any reservations about abandoning the second-generation Red, the group that was supported and helped him come to power. Deng Pufang, as the head of the Deng family after Deng Xiaoping passed away, has managed many large enterprises over the years, especially the well-known Kanghua Corporation. Many large overseas companies wanted to do business with him, and the benefits the Deng family reaped from these ventures remain unknown. Now, Xi Jinping has appointed someone who previously served as the Deputy Secretary of the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection and the Director of the National Supervisory Commission to replace Deng Pufang. This move undoubtedly serves as a warning to the Deng family, indicating that if they don't comply, the corruption will be investigated. From this arrangement, it's clear that the once powerful Deng Xiaoping family has been rendered powerless by Xi Jinping. So, within the current CCP, the political landscape is rapidly changing. Previous factions like the Jiang faction and other groups are being eliminated one by one. After clearing out these factions, Xi Jinping has even begun removing people he personally promoted. Now, let's talk about the fourth unusual aspect of the CCP National Day reception, the absence of the Minister of National Defense, Li Shangfu. On September 28th, during the press conference held by China's Ministry of National Defense, when a reporter asked whether Li Shangfu was still the Minister of National Defense, here's how the spokesperson responded.
Said that Chinese Defense Minister Li Shangfu is alleged corruption and is under investigation. Can you confirm that? Is General Li still the Defense Minister of China?
你谈到的情况我不了解。
I'm not aware of the situation you have mentioned.
Did you hear that? The spokesperson for the Ministry of National Defense said he was not aware of the situation the reporter was asking about. This means he couldn't even answer a simple question about whether Li Shangfu was still the Minister of National Defense. Isn't this a huge joke? The spokesperson of the Ministry of National Defense couldn't identify the current Minister of National Defense. Furthermore, based on the unusual behavior at the CCP National Day reception, we can infer that while Xi Jinping is further consolidating his dictatorial power and trying to show the world that his position is unshakable, he has also become a true lone ruler within the CCP, left with nobody to trust or rely on. He doesn't even dare to fully trust the premier he had picked. He has removed 2 ministers consecutively, and they were in such important positions as foreign affairs and defense minister. It seems he's having sleepless nights, all consequences of his own actions. Now, let's briefly comment on the recent incident where the chairman of Evergrande, once the largest real estate company in China, Hui Ka Yan, was virtually arrested. 3 years ago, I exposed Evergrande's financial issues for the first time, and since then, I've covered its problems in multiple episodes. Today, there isn't any more to say. It's safe to say that when I first discussed its issues 3 years ago, I foresaw its current situation. The path Evergrande has taken at its ending mirror not only the entire Chinese real estate industry, but also the entire Chinese economy and even the trajectory and fate of the CCP regime. Reckless borrowing, collusion between politics and business, the arrogance that came after inflating the bubble and the eventual collapse. These summarize the path it took. Yet, amid this, countless sums were transferred into the pockets of various officials and unscrupulous businessmen. After its kingdom collapsed, it crushes an uncountable number of deceived ordinary citizens under its weight. Seeing Evergrande's ending, we can get a rough idea of the current state of China's real estate, China's entire economy, and the CCP's future. Well, that's all for today. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and please double check if you are still subscribed. YouTube has constantly suppressed my content, so your support is crucial. Kindly share my channel and videos and visit my website at jenniferzengblog.com, jenniferzengblog.com for membership or donations to aid my efforts. Thank you. Have a nice weekend and see you next time.